So what do you think are the main catalysts for that? Why are people so interested in silver right now?
Well, it's following typical pattern historically. Silver always lags the gold price, and silver's viewed, historically, it's kind of viewed as poor man's gold, so to speak, as a monetary asset, which it is. And so, when you look at the famous gold to silver ratio, it's got quite a bit of variability. When you look at that chart, it could be like a cardiac arrest patient. It's got a lot of volatility in it, but when you look at a median line, in the last 25 years, it's falling around 60, and the extremes go from just this past March, we hit near all-time high of around 125 on that ratio, which is way out on the extreme end. And then it'll go as low as 15. In the last bull precious metal market, it was down in the low 30s. And so you get a lot of leverage coming off of silver when the silver catches up to the gold market, and it'll shoot right past it. And so the other thing that happens with the silver market is the huge industrial demand that gold doesn't have. Like, gold is primarily the monetary asset. And silver's monetary asset, but it's got this tremendous industrial demand. Over 50% of the silver is industrial demand, and there's a lot of growth happening in a number of sectors: electronics, and green energy, solar, things like that, and in medicine too, and applications. So the demand growth is really increasing, and when the monetary demand pumps in, then you've got this inelasticity in the price, and that's where you see silver shoot past gold, and the leverage to silver as a precious metal investment really take off.
Yeah. And silver's held its ground really well. I know in January we had the silver squeeze movement, Wall Street silver get involved. And so a lot of the retail demand has been very strong, and there have been shortages. We've heard reports from Miles Franklin, SD Bullion, and some others that there are shortages. We've also heard that a lot of the unallocated accounts, Kitco Pool, Perth Mint, have had trouble fulfilling orders from their unallocated customers. So it seems like we have a little bit of a run on silver. Do you view that as being both the monetary and the industrial aspect, or one more than the other, or what's your view on that?
It's probably the monetary kicking in, and the industrial aspect is going to be really interesting going forward, because you're starting to see some of these huge companies such as Tesla, at battery manufacturers, and people who are really interested in electronics of the green energy revolution here, trying to secure supply for critical elements or critical metals, let's say. And so that's going to be another interesting aspect we really haven't seen before going forward. And silver broke out, like gold broke out its bear trend back in 2016 in our view on a chart, and maybe it was a little bit later. But silver didn't do that, and silver really didn't do that till last August, really. And so it's really lagged behind, and thus we think it's got a long way to go.
Yeah, I do as well. The Silver Institute recently came out a couple months ago with their view on silver in 2021, and they made sort of the startling claim that they thought that silver demand could increase by about 120 million ounces this year. They think there's going to be over 1 billion ounces of demand for 2021, and a lot of it is driven by that industrial demand, the need for silver in solar, the need for silver in our space economy. India is putting up satellites, and the US and China and Russia are all in sort of this space race. But it's also just the general everyday economy. Tesla's, as you mentioned, Elon Musk has mentioned silver in his Twitter. Silver is also used in iPhones and basically every piece of electronics we have. It is so ubiquitous in our tech-enabled economy that it just seems like we could not, at some point in time, people are going to have to think of silver as one of these critical minerals that we just can't live without. What's your viewpoint on that? Do you think we're at that point with silver where there's this recognition that it's so important that maybe even the government start to look at it and say this could be one of our critical minerals going forward?
Well, I don't know if we're at that point or not, but it certainly is a critical mineral, as you point out. its use in all these, especially in the electronics end, whether it's in solar or electric cars or satellites or whatever it is. It's one of the best conductors in the entire world, silver. And gold's quite a good conductor too, but the price difference is huge. So silver is the go-to. And the awareness is certainly kicking in. I mean, that Wall Street squeeze on silver in February, that tremendous spike, certainly drew a lot of new awareness to silver, I think, in a completely different audience. So it's going to be interesting going forward.
Yeah, I do think it is as well. And I wanted to get into your projects. I want to have you back on the program because you guys have done a lot in the 3 years I've known you. We first met at VRIC in 2018. Yeah. And I sat down and talked with you guys, and you guys had a few really good projects. You had La Cigarra and Promontorio and La Negra. And since then, you've added more, and you've had so much activity that I'm not sure that the investment market is really completely aware of it. So I wanted to kind of highlight some of your new projects, Copelito and Columbia. Maybe you could talk a little bit about those and what you guys are doing on those for 2021.
Yeah, so when we first met in 2018, then we were negotiating on those projects, in fact. And what we liked about them was the upside in the fact that they're classic high-grade vein systems. So high grade is always the best kind of deposit to have because high grade works in any price environment. And so we acquired the rights to both those projects around that time we first met. And since then, we've done quite a bit of drilling on, particularly in Columba, which is almost an entirely preserved high-grade vein system. By preserved, I mean there's hardly any erosion. And now we've entered our third phase of drilling this year. We've got 5,000 meter program underway that started about 5 weeks ago. And so we're going to start to see results coming out in 2 to 3 weeks time on that program. And then similarly, and by the way, we've been hitting wonderful results. One of the veins there, we've got consistent silver hits over 700 meters of strike and down to 200 meter depth on the one vein, and numerous other veins with real high grade hits. We ended last year's program with an interval of almost 5 meters of 1,100 grams per ton silver. So just one fantastic intercept on a brand new vein to the end of that program. So really excited about this year and seeing what the results come out as. Then likewise at Copelito, we drilled it for the very first time. Very first time that project was ever drilled was last year. And it's a silver plus gold vein system. And we've got these big veins exposed right at surface and never been drilled before. Some small scale artisanal mining on it. We went in there last year, drilled 40 holes, got some really good drill results in a number of the veins. They were all quite shallow. Most of the holes were 50 meters vertical or less. We were just trying to get a first look at these veins to see what they look like and see if we could pick up some good grade subsurface, and we certainly did. So we just started drilling there about 2 weeks ago, a little bit more now, closer to 3.5 weeks ago on the second phase program ever done there. It's going to be about 3,500 meters on this phase. And that'll give us probably 30 plus holes. And we're following up on some of the great grades we got last year with over kilogram silver intercepts with gold up to individual gold assays up to around 13 grams per ton. So in the case of Copelito, we're trying to establish continuity and some size to some mineralized shoots that'll build a resource. At Columba, we see at least that one vein has got enough consistency to looks like a real good chance of building a resource there, and it needs the infill drilling to define, and then we're expanding off of other veins at the same time.
So it looks like at Columba, you're going to do 5,000 meters drilling. And what about Copelito for this year?
Copelito is 3,500 meters on this current phase that we just started.
Okay. And both of those are looking like fairly, or they are looking like high grade projects. You have two of them now. Explain what that could do for your company as you guys continue to build out this news that you have two really high grade projects there in Mexico, which is known for its silver. Mexico is a premier silver mining district.
Yeah, top silver producing region in the world generally year after year. And so, yeah, I mean, these projects, high grade deposits are the best deposits to have. That's what any mining company wants to have. It's the highest profit margins will be in those high grade deposits. So if we can establish enough resource size on either one of these projects, it's the sort of thing a mining company would come in and buy out and take us out on. And our business plan with regard to that is to get these things to the stage where that happens, assuming we're lucky enough to be able to define those kind of resources.